What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving Day and Thanksgiving weekend. Welcome to episode 125 of the Axis of Combat podcast. I'm one half of your host, Hugo the Boss. Hugo got next. Hugo in that pink and that Gucci mink. And without me, this whole thing stink. Joined by my co-host.
It's your boy Ray Boogie Kahuna. On today's episode, we're going to be discussing the last pay-per-view of the ESPN era and possibly the last pay-per-view of the UFC era, UFC 323, featuring Merab Dvalishvili going one-on-one with Petr Yan. And on the boxing end, we have two species that you would never think would collide in Roach and Pitbull. But before we get into any of that, my brother, please tell them what the deal is.
Like, comment, subscribe, follow Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Everybody enjoying the visual portion of this podcast. If you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Please like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date.
And for all of our audio listeners, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, you already know.
First fight on the card at men's featherweight, we have the Hillman, Naimov, going one-on-one with the legend, Mairon Santos. Naimov, 13-3 overall, fighting out of Denver, Colorado, but repping Tajikistan, 31 years old. Santos, 16-1 overall, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, but repping Brazil, 25 years old. Interesting way to kick off the card. I like Naimov. I like the Hillman. I think he had a decent start in the UFC. You know, debuted up a weight class, clapping up Jamie Malarkey. His next fight and his next win is arguably his best win against Nathaniel Wood. He prefers to strike, but he can grapple and will mix in grappling when he can. He's going one-on-one here with Santos, a guy who came up from The Ultimate Fighter, a Brazilian who can strike. He may be a little low volume, but I think he's very sharp, and I think he's very tactical when it comes to the striking. I think for Naimov to win, in my opinion, here, he's got to sell out for the grappling. I don't know if he can. I don't know if he will. I think Santos, he's younger. He's got a solid sprawl. He's been working on his takedown defense. And I think Naimov's style of, like, you know, being very aggressive and pushing forward is going to kind of fits into Santos' counter striking. I think Santos is going to keep the distance, pick him apart. I say Santos probably wins this one by decision.
Yeah, I'm there too. I had questions about him coming off The Ultimate Fighter about his takedown defense, and he's kind of just answered every one of those questions as he seems to be just improving after every one of his fights. Every time I see him, he looks better. And I think that's credited rather to his youth. And I think his dedication to the game, like, he's a hungry fighter. Exceptional boxing, in my opinion, has pretty good leg kicks too. So I'll say exceptional striker. Very good timing, hits very hard, very sharp. I'm with my brother here. I think Naimov, who doesn't historically sell out for the takedowns, is gonna have to do that to win this fight. If he doesn't contest to that, even though he's gonna be probably the physically bigger guy here, I think he's going to have a hard time getting on the inside and landing effective strikes on Mairon. I think Mairon's going to be able to control the distance. I can't get behind a minus 300 line for Mairon because obviously Naimov is the guy I think that has the better grappling edge here, but I understand it in a way just because Mairon has just made so many incremental improvements in between camps and has just shown his levels at the UFC level.
And if you want to do a little bit of MMA math, both guys have a common opponent in Con Offley. Naimov kind of got rocked a little bit against Con Offley. Didn't really finish him. Santos aired him out.
Bad, really bad. I agree with you. Yeah, I think, yeah, you can't do MMA math, but Offley is a guy who sells out for the takedown too, like a bit. Does mix in the striking, but I trust him. And that's why we actually picked Con to give Mairon some problems. And he made us look silly. And he actually will commit to the wrestling a little more than Naimov. So for me, this is easy. I think Mairon Santos by decision or knockout. I'll say by decision, but we'll see how we play closer to fight time.
Next fight on the card at men's middleweight, we have Mansur Abdul-Malik going one-on-one with Antonio Trócoli. Malik, technically perfect. 8-0-1 overall. Fighting out of Columbia, Maryland, 28 years old. Trócoli, 12-5 overall. Fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 35 years old. Yeah, this is kind of a setup fight here. This is going to be Mansur. Mansur should win this. Haven't looked at the odds. I'm assuming they're going to be kind of wide. Mansur, in my opinion, the more athletic guy. He's the one with the D1 wrestling background. He's got power in both hands. The issue that I have with Mansur is sometimes I feel like he doesn't really get it out of second gear. Kind of likes to play with his food just a little bit. He should be technically perfect here. Of course, you know, it was against Cody Brundage, and you know how Cody Brundage fights go, you know. He looks for the way out. He ended up getting the fight overturned. Technically, Mansur did win that fight, but, you know, because they were in Atlanta, some loophole or whatever thing where they can't really judge incomplete rounds. And, of course, Cody ended up, you know, overturning it in like a, you know, like the bitch he is. But that being said, this should be Mansur all day, every day. He should be able to pack up Trócoli. Trócoli on the other side, I mean, listen, I expected more from Trócoli. He hasn't really shown it at this level. I mean, the guy is winning outside of life, you know. He's dating Mackenzie Dern. Apparently, he's a professional poker player. He's not really locked into the MMA shit right now. And, you know, give me the younger, hungrier stud to, you know, kind of take out this guy who, you know, is kind of, I don't want to say cosplaying as an MMA fighter, but I don't think he's fully committed to the game, and the game ain't really fully committed to him. I mean, he gave up a sub to Tresean Gore, which is, you know,
They say wins don't age gracefully. This is a win that aged badly, even worse than when he actually incurred it, right? So I think losing to Tresean Gore is just not a good look right now. And then losing to Shara, especially when like you had the clear grappling edge and you just chose not to wrestle. I'll give him a little bit of a pass there because he had like a bad weight cut and it was on super short notice, but it was clear that you should have just wrestled Magomedov and you just said, yep, I'm going to stand with this guy and get tooled and stopped in the third round. So, I mean, if you're not coming in to win, what's the point, right?
100%.
So my brother's points, I don't think he's fully committed. Give me Abdul to do some nasty shit to this guy. I don't think Trócoli's UFC caliber. I think he's in here predominantly because of who he's dating, unfortunately, and I think that's going to show again on Saturday.
Next fight on the card at men's light heavyweight, we have Ibo Aslan, aka the Last Ottoman, going one-on-one with Rudy Iwo Baraniewski. Aslan, 14-3 overall. Fighting out of Turkey, repping Turkey, 29 years old. Iwo is perfect, 6-0. Fighting out of Poland, repping Poland, 27 years old. This fight screams unders. This fight screams fight doesn't go for a couple reasons. Ibo, majority of his wins are via knockout. The guy's got power in both hands. I mean, you wouldn't know it, you know, based on his last fight where it was pretty much a fucking staring contest with
Alankana.
That one was a little weird. I didn't get good vibes off of that one.
That fight was in his backyard and he still lost the decision, ladies and gentlemen. That's how bad it was.
That fight should have been one and done, if I'm being completely honest. Ibo historically kind of struggles with the takedown defense. Supposedly he's shorted up a little bit. Supposedly he shorted up the cardio issues a little bit. Iwo, not Ibo. Iwo is going to put it to the test, though. This guy, he's young, he's hungry. He's from Poland, so he got some of that Polish power in both his hands. He's also got some jiu-jitsu. He's got some judo. He's not afraid to, you know, take a guy down and beat him up as well. I'm a little low on Aslan. I'm kind of feeling this Iwo guy. And I know it's not the be-all, end-all, but you also got to kind of look at where the UFC kind of puts these guys who are debuting. They're confident enough to stick him on a pay-per-view, whether it's prelims or not. Kind of speaks volumes on kind of where they think this guy's going to be. He looked pretty impressive in his last performance in the Contender Series where he was a kind of a big dog. I think if he gets to the wrestling here, he pushes the pace on Aslan. I think he can get him done. He can probably sub him out. Either way, probably the safer play is probably fight doesn't go or the unders, just to cover both sides. But give me the debuting Rudy Iwo Baraniewski for the win.
Love the unders in this contest. This is a debuting fighter versus a guy who I think is pretty much going to try and put it on him in the first round. Iwo, though, I'm going to lean Iwo just for the simple fact of what my brother mentioned. His grappling, I think, is just a lot better than Ibo's. This guy punches, has good counter punching for like a guy who's just like a wrestle grappler. Like he actually has like a surprising overhand counter that he seems to catch everybody with. If Ibo's doing his homework, that's something he should be alert for. Iwo also has very good inside trips, outside trips, and every time he seems to get somebody down to the mat, he seems to just do the nasty to them. No one's really survived him when he's gotten on top of them. He's undefeated as a professional. I do think stylistically this is a matchup that should favor his style. He's going to make it nasty. I think he's going to get in. I think he has decent pop in his hands. I also think that he is going to have a clear wrestling and grappling advantage, and he has technical takedowns too. Like he's very good with the inside outside trips. Like I was very impressed when I was watching the footage for someone his size, particularly because 205 doesn't have a ton of wrestle grapplers. So give me Iwo here. I'm going to say ITD. I'll say first round. Love the unders. I don't think this fight is going to go the distance at all. I don't even think it's going to get into the third round. I think this is a guy, Iwo, who all his fights have been stopped in the first round. And Ibo is a guy who does like to press the action. I think Iwo's going to try and let it loose with him. So either Iwo's going to get tired and get stopped early in the second or late in the first, or he's going to get on top of Ibo and go to work. So I love the unders, love Iwo here, to be honest. I think Iwo's going to do what he does to him. But UFC debuts, we've seen guys crumble in these spots. Unders are the safe look. Give me Iwo for the lean here, ITD. We'll see how we play close to the fight time. Follow us on all social media platforms to see how we get there.
Next fight on the card at men's lightweight, we have Edson Jr. Barboza going one-on-one with the returning Tarantula, Jalin Turner. Barboza, 24-13, fighting out of Jupiter, Florida, but repping Brazil, 39 years old. Turner, 14-9 overall, fighting out of San Bernardino, California, 30 years old. An interesting matchup narrative-wise. We got a guy in Barboza who's probably a fight or two away from retiring, should retire. He's 39 years old, a lot of wear and tear. Brazilian legend. I put him up there. He's got heart. He's like the other Brazilian who fought the other day. What's his name?
Harney Barcelos. Like these guys, these Brazilians, even though they're getting older, you can't teach that heart, man. They go on there and they fucking give it their all. And then he's going against a guy who literally recently retired, unretired, and mentally, maybe he's not all the way there. I do have questions about Mr. Jalin Turner. On paper, Jalin Turner should win this fight. He's the bigger guy. He's got better striking. Maybe the grappling is probably comparable, but he's got comparable grappling. I think because of the dimensions, I think he has the advantage. I'd say so.
I'm with you. I mean, he's got the length, he's got the reach, he's got the talent. The issue with Jalin Turner is that it's literally a mental thing with him. Like a guy with his physical talents shouldn't be 14-9. A guy with his physical talents shouldn't be retiring at the age of 30 and then deciding just to come back just a couple months later. I don't know. This is something I'm probably going to dig a little deeper into. Maybe listen to some of the media scrums that they have, because I want to see. I'm assuming he's got like some kind of mental coach, somebody who's got kind of hone him, lock him in. I need to see where he's at, because if he's locked in, he does beat Barboza. But if he's not locked in, he's one of these guys where if shit ain't going his way, he's looking for the door. And Barboza, for all his, disadvantages in this one, the guy's got no fucking quit and he will find a way to win. So I'm a little topsy-turvy on this one. I think I have to pick Jalin Turner purely based on all the intangibles and the tangibles. But the mental game, I need to see that he's locked in. I need to see that he's locked in to have full faith in this pick, but I will be picking Turner for the win.
Yeah, I think Turner's the obvious play, and I'm not gonna say I'm gonna get there to playing him in terms of laying some green down. I'm wearing pink today, but no green is getting laid down on this guy, even though he killed Bobby Green, allegedly.
Man, he destroyed Bobby Green. God, that's the thing. Like, guy's got talent, man. He could do it to anybody, bro. But it's like, bro, you gotta lock in.
And yes, he is 4 of his last 5. But if you look at these fights in detail and you actually watch the fights and you watch the fights live or you rewatch them on replay. Mateusz Gamrot, I thought he won that fight. Dan Hooker, I thought he won that fight. Moicano murked him, and then the referee probably should have waved it off. It was a one-puncher.
Yeah, that was the fight he tried to walk off, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So for me, and then Bahamundes, he was a corpse.
Yeah.
He just wasn't there mentally. He just was already out, right? So I'm gonna excuse the Bahamundes one. I think Bahamundes is super talented, but think about it. Gamrot just got eliminated from essentially title contention. He just lost a title eliminator. Dan Hooker just lost a title eliminator. Renato Moicano just fought for the belt. I know it's on short notice, but he fought for the belt. So if you look at who he's lost to, it's kind of aged okay. Yeah, he lost to Frivola. If he fought him again, he beat him, low-key. He lost to Luque. That was up a weight class, didn't belong there. That's fine. But if you look at the 3 of the last 4 losses, it's like, okay, and then Bahamundes is a rising contender that he just wasn't awake for. He slept walk into that fight. I think Barboza has gotten away with a couple of fights that I think kind of worked in his favor because of the opponent.
Yeah, I didn't like the way he looked in his last fight against Close. I'm not going to lie to you. He looked a little slow in there.
They didn't like it. Did not like how he was reacting to punches. And Drakkar is a shot fighter at this point, low key. He's not what he was 10 years ago. Okay, he lost to Lerone Murphy. That's fine. He got off on Lerone, but Lerone was able to take over. Sadiq gave up in there. He was also a shell of himself, So for me, it's like his last couple of contests versus Jalin Turner's last couple of contests, they're different. It's different levels of fighter. I think Jalin has lost to elite guys. And if you're asking me, I thought he beat Gamrot and Hooker. I genuinely believe that. And the Hanato fight, he probably should have got the walk-off because he did cleanly drop him. It was bad. But you got to go in and finish your food, right? So not excusing him. I just feel like Jalin Turner's one overhand right away from stopping the show on Barboza. That's what it is, or a head kick, even a body kick. because Jalin is that talented. So, and I think Barboza's a little slower, as my brother mentioned, slower behind the legs, slower behind the wheel. I don't like how he's reacting to shots these days. I don't like minus 300 on a guy that's coming out of semi-retirement.
Yeah, that's yikes.
But I feel like even 70% of Jalin Turner can get this done.
For me,
I really believe that.
It's one of those things where I think if you like Turner, I think you dabble. Maybe you look at some early props because I think he should get him out.
Yes.
He should. Because if this fight gets extended, if this fight is going into the late second, third round, I think a live entry on Barboza is probably the way, because I don't think Barboza should be fighting the third round against Turner or a majority of people they'd be fighting for the most part.
Agreed. And this is going to be Barboza's highest skilled opponent in a while, in my opinion. Like, I don't think any of the guys that Barboza previously fought were like exceptional fighters.
Yeah,
like they're kind of like
they're okay,
over the hill or okay. So yeah, Lerone Murphy is probably the only one.
Yeah,
right. I'll give Lerone, and Lerone couldn't stop him to his credit, but Lerone doesn't pop unless it's on Aaron Pico's head with an elbow, right? So
yeah, that's true.
But Jalin Turner's not going to walk into a shot like that. Barboza's not going to walk into that shot, but Pico will, right? So I think we just got to take everything with context. I think Jalin Turner's the way more superior fighter at this point in their career, even with the R word being floated around, R word being retirement. I think he's coming back for a reason. I'm with my brother. I want to listen to some interviews, see how he's talking, see how he's feeling, and then I'll come to a final decision come fight time. But follow us on our social media platforms as usual. But Jalin Turner is assuredly the lead here. I'll say ITD.
Next fight on the card at men's middleweight, we have the Italian Dream, Martin Vettori, going one-on-one with the Hulk, Brunno Ferreira. Vettori, 19-8-1 overall, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, but repping Italy, 32 years old. The Hulk, Brunno, is 14-2 overall, fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 33 years old. This fight's going to be a slugfest. This fight's a banger. This fight is literally a man with a 100% finish rate going one-on-one with a man who's never been finished.
And a man who doesn't finish.
Also a man who recently hasn't really... Well, how many finishes does Vettori have in the UFC? I do not know.
I'm pretty sure
maybe one?
0?
I'm leaning more towards 0.
It's crazy, dude.
Give me the under there, Bob.
1, Carl Roberson.
Look at that. Wow.
Yeah, I don't think he's finished. He's got a lot of fights in the UFC. Actually, no. He finished his UFC debut against Alberto Yuta. He's not even in the UFC anymore. Exactly.
Nope, wrong one. Nope, wrong one. There we go.
So, yeah, that, Alberto Yuta, and Carl Roberson. That's it.
Wow.
That's it. And those were like years apart, so.
Now, this breakdown is going to be funny because I feel like I'm going to make a case for both sides. The case for Brunno here, even though he's a year older, less wear and tear, the guy's got a 100% finish rate, very good jiu-jitsu, solid grappling, and I think his striking is very underrated. He switches stances, he's very fleet of foot, hits very fucking hard.
Good kicks, too.
Very good kicks. He's the Hulk for a reason. Vettori hasn't been really reacting to shots very well lately. Can be taken down. I'm willing to put my nuts on the table here, maybe even call it. Brunno might be the first man to finish Vettori.
With the hands particularly.
With the hands. I think it's going to be a ground and pound finish, something like that. That's crazy, right? Vettori's never been finished. But again, like I said, he hasn't been reacting to shots well. He's getting older. The wear and tear is just building up. You know what I'm saying?
Keep in mind, this is the only podcast that actually told you guys that Jared Cannonier was going to beat the shit out of Marvin Vettori, too. We told you how that fight was going to go. He almost stopped him. We knew exactly how that fight was going to go.
So, momentum's on Ferreira's side. That's the argument for Brunno. Now, the argument for Vettori is, one, first of all, the man has never been finished. Sure, he's been reacting to punches grossly, but that hasn't been put out yet. A guy who will put the volume up. Now, he doesn't put any damage in that volume.
Good jabs, though.
But he's got good jabs. He will push a pace. He will walk forward. He will even mix in his own grappling.
Cage control, etc.
Now, the problem with Brunno is the man, when you extend him, the last time I think I remember him being extended was against Abus Magomedov, and that man gassed against Abus. Another man known for gassing, and he gassed against Abus. Wasn't a good look. Vettori's the type of guy who will keep going forward, putting pressure on. I could see him getting Brunno tired and maybe not finishing Brunno, but definitely controlling Brunno enough and, winning a decision here. I'm torn. I'm torn because I can see both scenarios are very realistic. They're very possible.
And Vegas is torn as well. This fight's a pick'em.
And Vegas, it reflects the lines. The lines, I think they're correctly, it should be a pick'em. Give me Brunno. Give me Brunno. I think I'm on the fade Vettori train. Vettori just doesn't have enough power to, really stop Brunno from walking forward. Brunno, I think he's going to be capable on the ground. I am worried about his cardio, but I think Brunno knows that. And I think Brunno should not only lead the dance here, but I think he will put enough damage on him because he's going to be the more damaging striker where he either gets Vettori out, which is woohoo. So those props are probably going to be nice and juicy, or wins by decision. It's fade Vettori season. Hey, I like Vettori, but it's been a long road, my man. Make way for the Hulk.
Yeah, this is a fight where I'm kind of just like, I may flip flop before fight time.
I'm with you.
I'm gonna lean Brunno as well, just because I think since the Abus fight, he's been more selective in terms of when he chooses to unleash his offense. And you gotta hope Vettori's gonna lead the dance with like going forward on him, which he will do sometimes, but not really. Like he kind of takes his foot off the gas at times as well. He should have the volume edge cleanly, Vettori, but I do think that Bruno's gonna land the more convincing shots here. This fight hits the floor, I do think Brunno can sub him, even though Vettori can grapple, particularly with like the leg locks. Like I could see something like that happening. But if you're asking me, this is a fight I'm probably going to stay away from just because it's super high variance. Like it can go so many different ways. I agree. You play value with the finish for Brunno. That's what I'm probably going to look at. I'm not going to play a Vettori decision here because if he wins, it might be split or unanimous. I don't know. And then the decision line itself is probably going to be juiced. I don't expect him to finish Brunno in this fight, but I think the value is really on Brunno's finish. And just because Vettori is supposedly still durable, but I'm with my brother here, I'm not sure that chin is what it once was. So I'm going to lean Brunno, man, but not with a high degree of confidence.
Next fight on the card at men's lightweight, we have the smile killer, Ferreira Ziam, going one-on-one with the Black Wolf, Nazim Sadykhov. Ziam, 17-4 overall. Fighting out of France, repping France, 28 years old. Sadykhov, 11-1-1 overall. Fighting out of Brooklyn, New York, but repping Azerbaijan, 31 years old. This is an interesting fight that I'm kind of going back and forth on too, because I kind of, not that I don't hate Ziam. Ziam is a very technical, safe, rangy fighter who's got solid grappling, a little on the low volume side, but his striking's a little underrated as well. But he's safe and he's smart. He's got a high IQ. He's going against Nazim, who's a very good grappler, an underrated striker, a guy who I'm more of a fan of, if I'm being honest. I think he's more of an action fighter. He's a guy who's definitely going to try to push the pace and kind of put it on Ziam. I think Sadykhov has got the striking prowess that kind of gives Ziam some trouble. Ziam, again, he's kind of like just a bigger William Gomis in terms of like, those guys from France know how to fight safe. They know how to fight technical, and they're not afraid to make it boring. And boring is very good when you're trying to make some plays. Give me Ziam here to win. I don't feel good about it. I think this fight, don't know what the lines are. I'm assuming it's close. It feels like a close fight to me.
-146 Ziam, +114 Sadykhov.
I think Ziam is going to win this fight. I think it's going to be by decision. He's just a guy I feel like who's just paid his dues. He's fought the better brand of comp. He's fought very good grapplers. He's fought very good strikers. I don't think Sadykhov is going to show him anything new. I'm a fan of Sadykhov. I am a fan of the Black Wolf. I am rooting for him to win. I just don't like Ziam's style. It is boring, but I think Ziam is gonna do it to him. Give me Ziam for the win.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Ziam has just been improving that much more than Sadykhov in between fights. Like he showed a new level against Mafrovola and even a higher level against Mike Davis, which I called on this podcast. I told you guys that. Well, for one, I think Mike Davis is a fraud. Like the way guys talk about him is like a guy who's not really particularly committed to the game too. Like against a guy in Ferreira Ziam who is committed to the game, has the dimensions, has improved his grappling, does have pretty good striking. The only thing I worry about him in this contest is his wrestling a bit because he can be taken down, but I feel like he shored that up enough as well too. I think Sadykhov, you gotta hope he's gonna get a stoppage here because that's really been his winning conditioning throughout the UFC. He's not a guy that's looking to win minutes. He's a guy that can be behind and then find the stoppage.
Yeah, that's kind of his MO. He's definitely he's got that big come from behind factor. So I don't hate that. Yeah, if you're going to look at Sadykhov, you're probably not wrong. Maybe some late round props.
Yeah, and if you look at the level of competition, like the last guy he fought was Nicholas Mota, who has improved, but I think he's always been a fraud at this level.
Yeah, and that was a back and forth war. Like that was a come from behind for Sadykhov in that one.
Yeah, he got touched in that fight.
Yeah,
he got touched. And yeah, you fought Bonfim, but dude, this guy just lost to Taco Padilla. We've been saying that
that's the whacker Bonfim.
Yeah, he's the whacker Bonfim. I think both of them are frauds, but that's my opinion. And yeah, you could say that Ziam lost to Don Madge in his UFC debut, who's an experienced vet. He also lost to Terrance McKinney, who Sadykhov did beat, but the thing is, Sadykhov was also losing the first round until he stopped him in the second.
It's one of those, like, I think McKinney could catch anybody in the first round. So McKinney's a very good fighter. Like, I don't look at that one as a negative, you know?
Yeah. If you're asking me, I'm gonna lean Ziam. This fight could be dog or pass. I'm not looking at anyone crazy for that. It's a fight that I'm probably gonna stay off of, just because it is high variance, considering Sadykhov's stopping ability and his creativity with his striking, as well as his underrated wrestling game here. So I'm not sure where to lead. I'm just going to trust the youth, the size, the decision-making of Ziam here to figure this out and navigate this. And I do think it's who the UFC wants to win this fight, believe it or not. I hate when they light up these two hungry wolves, but this is the UFC, and this is where they want to see what they got with these guys. If you're asking me, I think they're banking on Ziam to figure this out and get it done. I'm going to say Ziam by decision, but man, not with a high degree of confidence at all. So Sadykhov can definitely win this fight.
Next fight on the card at women's flyweight, we have the future Maycee Barber going one-on-one with the killer, Karine Silva. Barber, 14-2 overall. Fighting out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 27 years old. Silva, 19-5 overall. Fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 32 years old. This fight is probably the toughest fight to pick, in my opinion.
Agreed.
I seen it. I went up and down this whole card, and I was like, this one, I have a hard time picking a side. And it's literally because of all the question marks on Maycee Barber's side. Maycee Barber, I think, is the better striker. I think Maycee Barber,
much better around the competition.
She definitely has the better resume. I don't disagree with that. The issues that she has are both mental and physical. Physical, when I say physical, I mean, like, you know, she has a history of, like, you know, health issues, unfortunately. Her last fight, before the fight, was hospitalized for an undisclosed reason for like 9 or 10 days or whatever. Making the weight cut leading up to that fight, ended up pulling out literally right before the fight because she had a seizure. Mentally, you know, Barber, I mean, because she hasn't fought in a while, sometimes when she's in there, she's a little unlocked. Sometimes she's one of these girls that, you know, needs to see blood sometimes. She needs to see herself bleed before she can, like, you know, really get into that flow, you know? And Karine Silva, on the other hand, she knows what she knows what she is. She knows what she wants to do. She's got a ton of submission wins. I think she has a clear edge here in terms of the grappling because Barber can't stop a takedown. Karine Silva is good off her back and on top when it comes to the submission game. Because of all the question marks on the Barber side, I think I have to lean Silva by default. If Maycee Barber, again, is one of these things where I got to watch the media scrums, I got to watch the press conferences or the interviews. I need to see how locked in she is. And of course, I got to wait until the weigh-ins to make sure she makes the weight, you know, get the visuals, get the vibes, and kind of read that. If she's locked in, she's the better fighter, in my opinion. She should win this fight if she's completely 100% locked in. But there's just a lot of question marks, and that's just a hard decision, and that's a hard pick to make right now. So for now, I will be picking Silva for the win, and I say Silva by submission. I say Silva by submission. She could probably get it done because Silva is very good.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to lean Silva too, man, but this is easily a fight where when it gets close to the fight time, just follow us on our social media platforms to see if we get there. I don't agree with Maycee Barber being a favorite in this fight. I think this fight should be aligned a lot closer, but I see what Vegas is seeing because they're just pretty much banking on the best version of this girl. If the best version of Maycee Barber comes in to this fight,
the favorite is justified.
She might stop Karine, low-key. Because there's a girl in Karine who got outdogged by Arujau like 2-3 fights ago. That was just recently. And outdogged. And this is a girl in Maycee, like when you need her to dig, she's going to dig. She's not going to quit. She's going to put damage. She's going to walk forward. She's going to cage push. She's going to do a lot of shit. This is a girl who's only going to realistically have a 2-inch reach advantage on Maycee. And outside of Arujau, this is by far probably the most physical opponent that she's going to be fighting. Like, or has fought rather. No one else is going to get as physical with Karine Silva as Maycee Barber. Both with the hands and the wrestling. Barboza's a physical girl. Arujau's a physical girl. I get all that. They ain't Maycee in terms of complete MMA packages. She should be a champion this weight class. She can definitely compete with the top tier girls in this weight class.
Okay, she's currently at number 6. She is a top 5 fighter. Like, that's the talent she has.
Correct. So I'm gonna lean Silva, but once again, follow us on social media platforms. This is one I can easily get to the Maycee side if I hear her talking well, and she can. What would be nice if she got into like gave us a better understanding of the diagnosis. What happened? What went wrong? How they corrected it this time? Boom, boom, boom. If I hear all that and she seems convincing,
and she makes the weight
cleanly,
this
is easy Maycee prey.
I can definitely see myself flipping the other side for sure.
Yeah, because they got her at minus 172. I don't like it now, but once I hear shit, maybe I might get to it, right? Yep. So, yeah, this is just one of those fights, just like the Jalin Turner one, where we're gonna have to sit and watch and see and make a decision from there. But it's Silva for the lean, man. But once again, not with a high degree of confidence. This is one of the hardest fights in the card to call. Follow us on all social media platforms to see how we get there.
Next fight on the card at men's lightweight, we have T-Rex Terrance McKinney going one-on-one with the problem, Chris Duncan. McKinney, 17-7 overall, fighting out of Orlando, Florida, 31 years old. Duncan, 14-2 overall, fighting out of Scotland, repping Scotland, 32 years old. Banger of a fight that I do not expect to go all the way. This should not reach the final bell. This should not reach the final minute. Terrance McKinney, one of the best one-round fighters in the game. If the kid had a chin and cardio, he might be the best fighter in this division.
Yeah.
Let's keep it a buck, because Terrance McKinney, for all the glory that he gets with his knockouts, he's just as good or even better of a submission artist.
His grappling's absurd.
Very good grappling, very good striking. The issue with McKinney is that he's literally first round of bust. That's very unfortunate for McKinney. On the other hand, we have Chris Duncan here, a guy who, when he first came into the UFC, definitely, had some skepticism because, it didn't really look that hot when he first came in, but as I've learned, and as a lot of people learned who follow Chris Duncan's career, he will put his IQ to use. He's a very good striker, very solid grappler, a guy who's been kind of adding layers to his game as well. The submission game has been, not only on display, but improving. Duncan's a very good fighter. Obviously, the play for this is Terrance McKinney, first round or under half a round, not even a half a round, under 1.5. That's kind of where you want to play McKinney. If this fight gets extended, Duncan should be able to fold up McKinney. I think I'm going to lean Duncan for the win here, because I think Duncan is smart enough to kind of survive on the ground, not really get caught in any kind of crazy submission game. If he gets laid out, he gets laid out, but I think he's going to be tentative in the beginning. I think he's going to, he knows that McKinney's going to come at him like a
bat out of hell.
Like a bat out of hell. He's just got to survive the onslaught here. If you like the McKinney side, you play it early. If you like Duncan, you play it late. Either way, you want the safer plays, you go fight doesn't go. But I'm going to be leaning Duncan here because I do think he survives the initial wave, and I think he's the better fighter, especially when the fight gets extended.
Yeah, I think Duncan has a super underrated ground game. I think we need to start really acknowledging how good this guy is on the fucking floor. I really do. And he's done it 2 or 3 times, and we've kind of caught on this podcast in his last couple of contests. And I just feel like Duncan's going to be able to survive him just because T-Rex wants to get the grappling going. And I think Duncan's grappling is, once again, absurd. He's going to wrestle back into him. He's going to get him tired, and he's going to sub him. That's what I think's going to happen. Low-key, I think T-Rex is going to... This is probably the most physically imposing guy he's fought. You could make a strong argument. Duncan's huge for 55. Huge. So I think this is a fight where he might even make it look easy. Just because T-Rex is going to have success early, you got to just hope T-Rex catches up with a lucky punch. I don't think he's going to be able to out-grapple him. I really don't. I think Duncan's grappling is they not out-grapple him. Like, they're going to match each other until Terrance's the cardio falls off a cliff. I know Duncan can dig deep and go into fights, deeper into fights. So for me, this is an easy play. I think the unders are there. I think this is something that to look at. I also think Duncan by submission is clearly what's going to happen, to be frank. You just got to hope McKinney doesn't catch him with a punch. That's it. So give me Duncan. I'll say by sub here, ITD preferably if it's a good number.
Next fight on the card at men's lightweight, we have KGD Grant Dawson going one-on-one with El Loco Manuel Torres. Dawson, 23-2-1 overall. Fighting out of Coconut Creek, Florida, 31 years old. Torres, 16-3 overall. Fighting out of Mexico, repping Mexico, 30 years old.
Easiest fight in the card to call.
Yeah, very binary. because if this stays on the feet, Manuel Torres,
he's vicious, man.
He does what he needs to do on the stand-up. He's got the better hands here. He's got the power.
The speed, too.
He's got the speed. He can, and if given the opportunity, will put Dawson to sleep.
Bobby Green caught this guy, ladies and gentlemen, so just keep that in mind.
That being said, Grant Dawson, the guy's a wet towel. Probably or arguably the most boring fighter on the UFC roster.
Yeah.
But the safest fighter on the UFC roster. And to his credit, has been showing some layers. He has been peeling the onion back a little bit and, showing some striking.
Ground and pound, too.
Ground and pound. Now, he's just not going to lay on you. I think this is Grant Dawson. I think he's going to have an easy time getting Manuel down. I think he subs out Manuel Torres. Give me Grant Dawson here for the win. I hope it's not boring, but outside of Manuel cashing him in, before he catches him, you can't stop Dawson's grappling is just A1. He's just so fucking good. He knows what he wants to do on the ground. He's very heavy. He's got very good control on top. Ground and pound, ITD is probably the safer way to go because I can see that as well. I got a gut feeling it's going to be a sub.
I like the unders here too. And it's because of Manuel. Manuel lost 2 times via submission of his 3 losses via heel hook. And I forgot the other submission. Regardless, it was a submission in the first round. That's the more important part. I feel like this is a fight that's definitely going to go under. Either Manuel's going to catch him and just meme knock him out like Bobby Green did, or Grant, which I think is more likely to happen, is going to get on top of him, and I expect him to finish this fight. It's not a fight where he's going to hug him. I expect Grant to stop this guy. I think this is UFC matchmaking 101. I think this is a very favorable matchup for him. I expect him to be able to do whatever he wants to Manuel once he gets to the floor. Bahamondes stopped Manuel on the feet, but Bahamondes is once again a contender. He's good. He's very good. So for me, Grant Dawson, ITD, I'll say sub, but if he stops him via punches, I won't be surprised. ITD is more of the safer play if depending on the line. That's what we got for this podcast.
Next fight on the card at men's light heavyweight, we have Jan Blachowicz going one-on-one with Bogdan Guskov. Blachowicz is 29-11-1 overall. Fighting out of Poland, repping Poland, 42 years old. Guskov, 18-3 overall. Fighting out of Russia, but repping Uzbekistan, 33 years old. This is an interesting fight for a couple reasons because on paper, technically, and physically, Jan Blachowicz, he's got the edges, right? He's the more technical fighter. He's from Poland. He's got that Polish power. He's a very good leg kicker. He's got some grappling upside. He's the better fighter, but he's 42 years old. He's pushing 43. Bogdan, when he first came in, another guy who I was kind of like, I don't know. We'll see about the guy, right? He's been doing it, man. He's got hands. He's a little bit of a savage fighter, but I think it's like savage with a little bit of finesse, if that makes any kind of sense, because he's been showing he's got, better head movement than, his earlier fights. He can't put combinations together. He's going to be the faster guy in there. He's definitely going to be a hard-hitting puncher as well. This is one of those things where I think Blachowicz is probably going to win the first round, maybe. Especially if Blachowicz gets the grappling going. I think he could take Bogdan down, maybe hold him down, beat him up a little bit, maybe even try to find a finish there. On the feet, I think Blachowicz is going to look probably fresh at first, but again, the age is going to catch up.
He just seems to fall off a cliff after round 1 a lot.
Once he starts falling off that cliff, I think Guskov is going to take over. Give me Guskov here for the win. I think if this fight was made a couple of years earlier, where Blachowicz still had a little more gas in the tank, had a little more pep in his step, I definitely be leaning Blachowicz. I get why he's the favorite. I think this is Guskov here. I think it's going to get worse as the fight gets extended. And I think Guskov has a good possibility of getting Blachowicz out second, third round. Give me Guskov for the win. I'd say via KO.
Yeah, I'm on Guskov here too. And a lot of it is predominantly because of Blachowicz's inactivity. This is going to be his second fight back after like a 2-year hiatus. And he did not look great in the Olberg fight. Olberg kind of got what he wanted in that fight. Yes, Guskov or Nomak from Blade 2, however you like to refer to him. He essentially doesn't present the same technical acumen or like the technical applications that Carlos can, input into a fight at will. But Guskov, great heart, good power, and to his credit, over his last couple of fights, even though when he first came into the UFC, I didn't think he was UFC caliber, he's kind of been fighting with a little bit of better decision making. He just has. Like it's really that simple. So for me, I think this is Blachowicz early, Guskov late. Not sure I'm going to play this, but that's exactly how we'll look at this fight. I think Blachowicz is going to look good until he doesn't. He just historically has had bad gas tank issues, and it just seems like when he starts getting off, he starts falling off. So he pushes the wrestling or whatever, he's going to gas out, in my opinion, unless he's on, some other pharmaceuticals now that USADA is no longer present, which is something we're going to monitor throughout the week for you guys. Hey, allegedly.
Allegedly. He took a couple years off, so we don't know how he's going to look when he walks in on the scale. So, I mean, that's a big factor. I would love to see how he looks.
Huge factor. Huge. So for me, technically, John's the better fighter here, but I could see Guskov pulling this one out of his ass, particularly late, but we say we play close to the fight time. Follow us on social media platforms as usual.
Next fight on the card at men's bantamweight, we have Triple C, Henry Cejudo going one-on-one with Peyton Talbot. Cejudo, 16-5 overall. Fighting out of Phoenix, Arizona, 38 years old. Talbot, 10-1 overall. Fighting out of Reno, Nevada, 27 years old. An interesting fight on paper. When I looked at it, I was kind of like, ooh, that's some particular matchmaking. UFC is, they're cooking, but I think they're cooking in a way that people are not really gonna, appreciate, because this is not, in my opinion, a good matchup for Cejudo. On paper, he's got the grappling edge, right? Talbot has struggled against guys who can grapple him, but to Talbot's credit, I mean, the kid's dynamic. The kid can get up. I don't think Cejudo, even though he does have the grappling edge here, doesn't really have the best control game. He's never really had the best control game. And I don't know if that's just because of Cejudo's size or just the way he grapples in general. Talbot is the biggest, I think, opponent Cejudo has ever faced.
Yeah.
Talbot's going to have a length and reach advantage that is going to be very hard for Cejudo to get in on.
Gas edge, too.
Cejudo, even if he gets in, I don't know how he's going to be able to successfully hold down Talbot.
Even if he lands on Talbot, is he going to hurt him?
It's rough.
Sorry.
It's rough. I think this is Talbot. I think Talbot should be able to get Cejudo out. I mean, listen, credit to Cejudo. He is a tough guy. He's a durable guy. But he's a guy who I think probably retired too soon. Maybe came back too late. He missed out on some prime years there, man. And I think it's just too much. I think Talbot... The UFC knows what they're doing. Like, the UFC wants to get Cejudo out because the guy's got a fat fucking contract. They're paying him way too much. So what they're doing, in my opinion, is just setting him up with some straight up killers just to get him the fuck out of here. Like, and that sounds crude. That sounds fucked up, but I think that's what they're trying to do here. Give me Peyton Talbot here for the win. I think he beats up Cejudo. He should be able to finish Cejudo, but I like Talbot's side regardless. And it's unfortunate because as much as like I have kind of like an up-down relationship with the way I feel about Cejudo sometimes, I mean, he's getting done. They're doing him dirty on this one.
I agree. And, unfortunately for him, I thought when he had that comeback fight against Aljamain Sterling, I thought he won that fight.
He did.
Yeah, I thought he got robbed. I thought he got blatantly robbed. I thought it was clear he won 3-2. It was close, don't get me wrong, but it was clear 3-2 for Cejudo. Merab is just a monster. I mean, you know what he is at this point. But the thing is, I also didn't like how his gas looked into that second round, particularly when Merab didn't really pursue the wrestling in the first round. Like, Cejudo was the one wrestling into him and landing the better damage in the first round, and he looked like the one that got out-cardioed, out-wrestled, and outstruck in the first, heading into the second. The Yardang fight was a little bit more of the same. He looked a little fresher. He looked like he was making better decisions. I just feel like even though he's a better wrestler than Felipe Lima, who Talbot just recently beat, who I think is a stud as well, I think Talbot is just a little too big, a little too athletic, a little too durable, has a little too good of a get-up game considering Cejudo was not really a submission grappler. If Cejudo was a submission grappler, we're having a different discussion. I'll be honest with you. It's just he's not. That's not his game. His game is to control, hold, get you down, mat return you, foot sweep you, make you put you on your hands, a lot of that kind of shit. But like for Talbot, you need to effectively wrestle and control him the way Hani Barcelos did, or bust.
Yeah, take his back, really control him.
Yeah, you're not gonna. And I think it's as good of a striker as Cejudo has become. Even if he lands clean on Talbot, I don't see a world where he's going to be able to hurt him to effectively finish him or to effectively win most of the minutes in that round, especially with Talbot being probably going to be the volume guy and probably going to be the one walking forward in this contest.
And like, again, people are going to say, well, he lost to old ass Barcelos. Well, that's a mirage loss, in my opinion. That's all smoke and mirrors, because Barcelos, that guy, first of all, timeless.
Underrated as fuck, too.
Hot take, I think Barcelos would beat the shit out of Henry Cejudo right now as well.
I won't say beat the shit out of him, but the fight would be close.
It'd be a very good fight.
It'd be a great fight.
I would be picking Barcelos for the win there.
Yeah,
if I'm being completely
he'd probably be a heavy dog but he can grapple, man. He can grapple,
is very good.
and he's a good striker. So it's like he's a better striker than Cejudo. I think he has more weapons on the feet.
And considering Talbot's last win, I mean, Lima was not only a good win, but a very impressive win and a bounce back win that kind of showed you that, yeah, I lost to Barcelos, but I was able to correct some of those things. I was able to show growth, and he beat a guy who I'm very high on Felipe. Felipe is very fucking good.
Very good. You know, he put down those childish things, you know, as the guy from Step Brothers, the dad said. He stopped being a T-Rex in his backyard and, you know, listened to his dad, got a fucking job.
Stop being a fucking dinosaur. That's what he's trying to tell him.
You know, so for me, it's just a situation now where House Talbot worked on some of his second line defense. But even then, guys, I just don't trust Cejudo to ban him with wrestling.
I think size does matter, bitch, in this one as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a lot.
When have you seen Cejudo spam someone with wrestling outside of Demetrius Johnson? I'll wait.
Yeah.
I'll wait. And he's got size on DJ. So that's why he was able to do that. This is a different division where he hasn't really been able to do that to anyone. Couldn't do it against Song Yadong. Dude, these guys are just bigger, younger, faster, you know, like, unfortunately. And I agree with my brother. Unfortunately, I think Cejudo sat out the UFC and missed a lot of his prime years. He could have dominated for at least 2 of those 3 that he was out. For me, I think it might be closer than people think, but I think Talbot's going to edge this one out somehow. I'll say by decision, just because Cejudo's been all-world durable, and Talbot hasn't really shown the biggest finishing propensity at this level yet. Yeah, he stopped Gamori, Fraud. Simon, that was impressive because no one's been able to really hurt him like that. And Nick Aguirre, who?
Yeah.
You know, so Simon, I would say, is probably his best win, but Simon is still, I think, learning too. He's still a raw prospect, right?
Yeah, he definitely doesn't have the resume, but it's more of like, you know, this Talbot's just passing the eye test, man.
Yeah, he is. I think it's the decision, though. I think Cejudo survives the onslaught. I think Cejudo can mix in the wrestling enough to mitigate some of the damage he's going to be taking in this fight. Unless, like, he gets an eye swollen shut or some shit and they have to stop it. But I think this is Talbot all day. I think Talbot by decision.
Next fight on the card at men's flyweight, we have the assassin baby, Brandon Moreno, going one-on-one with Tatsuro Taira. Moreno, 23-8-2 overall. Fighting out of Mexico, repping Mexico, 31 years old. Taira, 17-1 overall. Fighting out of Japan, repping Japan, 25 years old. This fight is very fucking good, and this is another fight that I'm kind of just going back and forth on because I can see it playing out one of 2 ways. One way, I'm going to go on Tatsuro Taira. I think he's got a clear path here. Taira is like 2 back takes away from controlling 2 of these 3 rounds because it's a 3-round fight from winning a decision. I don't think he puts Moreno away.
No.
Moreno's very tough. He's durable. He's proven, former champion, probably the better striker, but he has competent enough grappling to keep up. But Taira, he's just one of these young stallions, a guy who I'm very high on, a guy who, in my opinion, has underrated striking, but really hasn't shown it yet. I'm going to stop maybe banking on him being the better striker. He does have some pop, but I'll give Moreno that respect and that edge. But I think Taira, you know, maybe questionable entries, but I think if he gets in, I think he automatically just takes Moreno's back. And then that's just, I could just see that being the round because of his control, because of the way he gets that body lock in. That's the Taira side. On the Moreno side, though, obviously, the better striker, the more proven fighter, the better resume. I can see his stand-up, his stance switching, his footwork giving Taira issues. So Taira can't really get in initially. Him piecing up Taira from the outside. Just Moreno, just, you know, kind of just using his savvy vet experience and kind of just like, I don't think he finishes Taira as well, but, you know, winning a decision on his end just with his striking and just with his savvy, maybe even pushing Taira on with his own grappling. It's tough. It's tough because I can see the fight playing out literally both ways. I think I want to pick Taira. I think I do. But Moreno has had a proven track record of making me look like an asshole every time I try to fade the man. Moreno is not that old as well either. He's only 31 years old, but he's battle worn. You know, he's got a lot of experience. I can see that being a factor on the Taira side because Taira's, you know, he doesn't have that much damage. And again, I think he does have underrated pop. I don't know what the odds are. If I had to take a guess, they are very close to pick 'em. They should be pick 'em in my opinion. I don't know what they are, but damn it. Oh man, I think I want to go Moreno. I hate it, but I think I want to go Moreno here. He's just a better fighter. Like he is. But man, it feels scary saying that against the guy in Tyra, who I know is like literally 2 back takes away from just taking 2 to 3 rounds, surviving a 3rd round, and then winning a decision that way as well. I'm torn, but I'll play it safe. I'll be a little pussy boy. Give me Moreno here for the win. I say by decision.
It's crazy. I was looking at it, and I was looking at reasons why I should get on that side too. But if you look at who he's lost to, particularly at the UFC level, he's lost to Pantoja 3 times. What does Pantoja do very well? Get to the back. He's lost to Sergio Pettis and Brendan Royval, 2 guys that can out-volume him. I don't think Tyra's going to out-volume Moreno here, but I do think he can get his back taken in this fight. 100%.
Right? I'm not bugging.
And all he needs is 2 rounds. And this is a guy in Pantoja that was able to get Moreno's back in the 5th round when he was exhausted. Also, get his back standing up as opposed to even getting him to the floor. And I think Tyra has a path to do that too.
I mean, you see what he did to Alex Perez.
This is the strongest control grappler I think Moreno's fought since Pantoja. So I'm going to lean Tyra as the... Actually, you know what's funny? I hit dog. Yeah, Moreno's the dog.
Is Moreno
as the favorite?
Dog?
He
Wow.
is. But man, if you get behind Moreno in this fight, I'm not looking at you crazy. I'm not, because he's the better fighter.
It's such a good fight.
He's the better fighter by far. He has better striking. He has better wrestling. No, I won't say better wrestling. It's close. But I think their wrestling and jiu-jitsu mitigates itself. Yeah, Tyra lost to Raw Dog. He's 1 decision away from winning that fight. Like 1 decision in the fight from making that fight. Like winning that fight, right? He kind of panic shot the last round when he should have just let the wrestling come. Did what he did against Young Sung Park. Did what he did against Alex Perez. I mean, for me, this is clear dog or pass, but I'm going to lean Tyra as the official lean from my side in this podcast. But I understand my brother's side for getting behind Moreno. I just have a sneaky feeling where the UFC placed this on this card, they're hoping Tyra comes out on top of this because they need another contender for Pantoja, and they put it right below the Pantoja fight. I think they know something. I think we know something. It stinks. It stinks picking Moreno. Favorites have won like at a 67% clip this year. Tyra's the favorite. I'm going to lean Tyra. Not what I had a great confidence, but I think he's going to be able to win 2 rounds here. And I agree with you. I think his striking is underrated. I do feel like he can land on Moreno and hurt him at 1 or 2 points of this fight. But I think the back taking is going to be huge. Give me Tyra here, but not what I had a great confidence.
Next fight on the card, and it's currently constituted the co-main event of the evening for the UFC Flyweight Championship. We have the champion, the cannibal, Alexandre Pantoja, going 1-on-1 with the fearless, the contender, Joshua Van. Pantoja is 30-5 overall. Fighting out of Brazil, hailing from Brazil, 35 years old. Van, 15-2 overall. The challenger is fighting out of Houston, Texas, but repping Myanmar, 24 years old. At first, I was like, man, Joshua Van, this might be maybe too fast, too soon, too big of a step up. But on the other hand, I'm like, I don't know, man. Between like this fight and then the main event, I do think there's a higher probability of more fuckery or a title change in this one. You know, spoiler alert, I guess, a little bit. Joshua Van has improved his takedown defense. The kid's young. He's dynamic. He's got a lot of room for growth. Possibly the better striker here against Pantoja. Pantoja has arguably fought maybe better strikers or comparable strikers. They're so petrified of Pantoja's back game, his grappling game, that, you know, Pantoja is able to mix it in. He's able to throw in his own striking, which is not terrible either. And, you know, he's got some pop, but you know how Pantoja, he really just wants to get to the grappling. You know, that's his bread and butter. And that's where I think he's going to shine here against Joshua Van. I will be picking Pantoja here for the win. I just think the grappling is just on another level. I don't know if Joshua Van's ever dealt with anybody that can grapple like Pantoja. I wouldn't be surprised if he fucking clips Pantoja, like works him to the body, which I don't really see too many people work Pantoja to the body. Knocking him out possibly. It's a spicy fight. And it's a fight where I wouldn't be too surprised or too shocked to hear and new, just because like this guy's just a young stud. Pantoja's he's just a fucking beast, and I just gotta see it. Give me Pantoja here for the win. I think the cannibal cannibalizes another victim here, and Josh Van, I can see him being a future champion in this division. I just don't think it will be on this Saturday.
Yeah, for me, this is too much too soon. And the more I think about it, I thought maybe I could get around to getting on the other side here. I can't. Joshua Van is not a prolific one-punch knockout artist. And there's two things you need to be if you're going to be Pantoja. You need to be a guy that can hurt him, or you need to be a guy that can out-wrestle and out-grapple him. You look down his resume, he's lost 5 times. Once to Jussier Formiga, Davison Figueiredo, Askar Askarov. And then the other guy's Dustin Ortiz. But that one, I'm going to live to a fluke because he looked like he was sleepwalking in that fight. what do all 4 of those guys have out of the 5? Well, besides Figgy. Figgy's a complete fighter.
Yeah.
He is. He's. We just got to start putting some fucking respect on Deiveson Figueiredo's name and how fucking good he is. All those guys can grapple their fucking ass off. They can grapple. Askarov can wrestle, like really push a wrestling pace and spam you with wrestling. People thought he was going to be the champion before he kind of got injured and then fell off a cliff, right? So, Jussier Formiga, elite level grappler. Deiveson Figueiredo, power with the grappling. Probably the most complete fighter. And good precision, too, with his shots. Knows how to land the shots, knows where to pick his shots. And you've seen how well that loss has aged for Pantoja. Joshua Van has never fought a guy that's going to push the wrestling like this. He's never been in deep water with a guy like this, besides Raw Dog, and that was only 3 rounds. Pantoja does have, I think, the power edge here. Pantoja is going to have the wrestling and grappling edge. I think the wrestling edge is probably the most underrated aspect of his game. I've said it almost on every podcast where we cover Pantoja, because I think people think he's just a guy that does jiu-jitsu. No, this fucker can wrestle his ass off, and he has shown it time and time again, and particularly in his last couple of contests against guys who are much better strikers than him, Asakura and in Kaikawa, France. I think those guys have better technical application than Van. I think those guys have better finishing instincts. I think those guys have better ways to get their kicks across too. They're better strikers. The better boxer is Van. I'm not going to say he's not. I just don't think Josh has fought a guy that, and in my opinion, this is the best backtaker in MMA history, not just current MMA history. His ability to get to your back is very good, and it's just because his wrestling is so fucking underrated. And I think people just sleep on his wrestling. And listen, credit to Van. He's put together a good list of opponents here. None of these guys are wrestlers. None of them. Brendan Raw Dog is not a wrestler. Silva, washed and small. Ray Saruya, Durden, fraud. Chinny, Chires, another guy who's like, he's just a tough dude that has occasionally uses his grappling.
I think there's a better chance of Father Time catching up to Pantoja before anybody else.
Agreed. You just gotta hope it's this fight,
because he is 35. He's pushing 36. You know, after Joshua Van, if he gets through Joshua Van, which I think we both agree, I think he will.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other guys. Tyra, it seems like they're lining them up. Manel Kopp is still out there.
Manel and Tyra, I'll go on record that saying this now, they're the toughest fights for Pantoja in this weight class.
And a very fun fight, which I don't know if it will happen, but who knows? I mean, again, another guy who trains with him, Horiguchi, who,
correct.
Just came in like a bat out of hell.
You called it. I wasn't there, but you called it. I respect. But if you're asking me, like Tyra and Manel Kopp are the toughest fights for him in his division. And the reason why Tyra is a tough fight for him is because Tyra can do a lot of what Figgy does. He's a clean striker that can fucking grapple. Josh is a clean striker. A clean boxer, not striker. He can't fucking grapple, man. I haven't seen it at this level. And this is a guy who I'm telling you is going to find the bitch in him. He's going to find the weak spots, So for me, until I see Tyra Manel Kopp, this is an easy Pantoja pick. Give me Pantoja. I'm going to say he's going to sub him. I think he's going to find a sub here. Give me Pantoja via sub. I'll say rounds 3 or 4.
Next fight on the card, and it's currently constituted the main event of the evening for the UFC Bantamweight Championship. We have the champion, the machine, Merab Dvalishvili, going one-on-one with the challenger, No Mercy, Petr Yan.
Great nickname.
Yeah, No Mercy is kind of sick. Merab is 21-4 overall. The champion is fighting out of Garden City Park, New York, but repping Georgia. 34 years old. Petr Yan. I think it's Piotr, right? That's how they pronounce his name. 19-5 overall. The challenger is fighting out of Russia, hailing from Russia. 32 years old. Now, this is technically a run back. These gentlemen have both fought before. And, to no surprise, Merab did win that fight. Now, people are saying, or Yan is saying that, he was a little bit compromised in that fight. And, watching it back, you can tell he was a bit compromised in that fight. The man was not throwing his right hand at all. I think he broke it either before the fight or right in the beginning of the fight. That right hand was not thrown. It was useless. Merab, did the Merab thing and, took that man down, picked him back up, took him back down, rinse and repeat for 25 minutes, because I think that was a 5-round fight as well, right? Got the win. Now they're running it back for the championship. Do I see that fight playing out any differently? In some aspects, yeah, I do. Because if Jan's hand was compromised, and I do believe him, his hand was compromised, I think the fight's going to be closer. Yan is the better technical striker, 100%. But the issue is that Merab is also leveled up since that last fight. I mean, Merab is currently the champion now, and he's like This is his 4th fight this year in a calendar year. I think, in my opinion, is going to take someone who can just turn him off. They need to turn off the machine to beat the machine. And I don't know where Petr Yan is capable of doing that. Yan, again, solid striker, but has his own problems, generally likes to take the first round off just to, download information. It might be a little different this time around because it is a rematch. He kind of knows what he's getting into there, so maybe he starts off a little faster. I hope he does, because the one thing you don't want to do is just give up rounds to Merab, because he can get rounds pretty easily. You don't want to give him free rounds. It's a 5-round fight. It is for the belt. Yan needs to come out hot. He needs to come out strong. He needs to put it together, maybe even mix in his own grappling, which would be kind of an interesting wrinkle to see how Merab kind of deals with maybe even being off his back or just being pushed against the cage. Do I think this fight is closer than the previous fight? Yes. Do I see the same outcome? Also, yes. Merab is just fucking good. And again, I think it's going to take somebody with an off button to stop him. So give me Merab here. I say by decision because Yan is a tough son of a bitch, hard to put away. It's and still. And I don't maybe necessarily agree on how wide the line is. So I don't hate a play on Yan because it's so disrespectful, but it's Merab, and I think it's Merab by decision.
Yeah, I'm there too, unfortunately. I just feel like the spamming is going to be way too much, and I think Merab has significantly improved his striking so much, as well as the threat of the takedown being so evident that these guys are not expecting like the hands of Merab to strike, to effectively land damage on him. Corey Sandhagen got stuck like that. All of Merab's previous opponents got hit in ways that did not think they were going to get hit. But it's because the wrestling is so much of a threat. They're more worried about the wrestling than the striking. So I'm with you. I think Petr Yan, listen, the fight I want to see after this is Petr Yan go against Usman or Umar. That fight intrigues the shit out of me. And it's because I don't know if Umar is going to be able to control grapple Petr Yan for a couple of rounds. I know Aljo did it, but we're starting to learn that Aljo is just fucking underrated. I'm just going to put it out there. This is a guy, Merab, who I think, unless he vacates the title or he fights Umar and Umar somehow figures him out, I think he's going to be champion for a while. I don't think anyone's going to beat him. I think he's probably going to move up in weight and probably contest if Volk leaves or if Volk is still there. Who knows? I don't know. If you're betting Petr Yan, I think you have to bet the knockout. I even if he hurts Merab's cardio is so good. I expect his recoverability to be good as well, because typically people with very good cardio have very good recoverability. That's typically the sign that they're super in shape. Yeah, I think Peter's going to put up a better fight to my brother's point, but I expect Merab to just overwhelm him with the wrestling, ride his back, put his hands on the floor, and Jan's going to bitch in there and cry, a little bit. He's just going to be frustrated, to be frank. When I say bitch and cry, he's going to get very frustrated, and he's going to just survive the exchanges, not get subbed. I think this is Merab by decision, unless Petr Yan's able to knock him out.
And that does it for UFC 323. Moving right along to the sweet science, we're going to be kicking it off in the land down under in Australia, and specifically Gold Coast, Queensland. I think that's somewhere in Australia, right? I think that it's like on the east coast of it or whatever. We're going to jump right into the main event for this particular card. For the Ring Magazine and the IBF World Cruiserweight titles, we have Jai Opetaia going one-on-one with Huseyin Cinkara. Opetaia, perfect. 28-0. The champion is fighting out Australia, repping Australia, 30 years old. Cinkara, the Hurricane, is also perfect. 23-0. The challenger is fighting out of Germany, repping Germany, 40 years old.
Yeah, don't let the records fool you. Definitely let the age and the level of competition guide you. That's my advice for this fight. Cinkara's been talking a gang of shit. I like his offense, actually. I think he does some good shit, but he hasn't done it to anybody. 75% of his wins are against guys with losing records, and I'm talking about like crazy, some of them with crazy losing records. The other 25, decent fighters, nothing too crazy. This is a big step up in competition for him. I think cruiserweight is just not like loaded with like a lot of talent, to be frank. And that's why maybe, Benavidez moving up makes things very intriguing. Like a Benavidez Opetaia fight is nuts.
I think Benavidez anybody fight at this point because, cruiserweight, you're 100% right. I think it's wide open.
It's not deep. It's not deep. And everyone's ducking Jai. He's in a little bit of a weird situation, but this is a guy in Cinkara, man, who he's talking a big game. He's going to get knocked out in this fight. He hasn't fought anyone with the speed and power of Jai. Jai's younger. Jai's the guy they're pushing. Cinkara's fought nobody. He's 40 years old. Yeah, he's 23-0, padded record, fought a lot of bums. Like, I mean, these guys overhand and leave themselves right open for shots. They don't have a good process when they're throwing their punches. All his fights look like circus fights. Like the ones I could find, a lot of them didn't look serious. Like I was like, this is who he's fighting. Like this is a bum. Like this is Opetaia all day. This is a fight where I think he's a minus 1,800. If you bet $1,800, you're gonna win $100. Like it's like that's what's gonna happen. In my opinion, there's no way he loses this fight unless he trips on a banana peel. I just don't see it for Cinkara. I think he knocks him out. Give me Opetaia early to mid rounds to get this guy out of there.
Moving right along from Australia to San Antonio, Texas, we got a loaded PBC pay-per-view card, but we're gonna be kicking it off with the prelim main event. Frank Martin going one-on-one with Rancis Bartholomew. The Ghost, Martin, 18-1 overall. Fighting out of Indianapolis, Indiana, 30 years old. Bartholomew, the Kid Blast, 33-1 overall. Fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, but repping Cuba, 39 years old.
Yeah, this is a good bounce back fight for Frank Martin, in my opinion. This is a fight where Bartholomew's super awkward, throws body shots like very awkwardly. He looks like a little kid in the playground throwing body shots. He swings like he swings like this. I'm not even kidding you. If you have the YouTube on and you're watching, like the audio, you're not gonna see it, but on YouTube you see everything.
Is that why they call him Kid Blast?
Yeah, I mean he has decent power. I'm not gonna take anything away from him. But this is a fight. I'm going to say Frank Martin's going to get done via decision. Frank Martin coming off the Tank knockout. He's taken a significant amount of time off. I'm very happy about that because it was bad.
That's always good.
He's a 50% finisher for the most part. Let me double check that though, just to be sure, but I'm pretty sure I'm on the nose about that. He has, so he has 18 wins, 12 of them are by knockout. So he's a little above he's a little above a 50% finisher. But this is a guy in Bartholomew who's only been stopped by Gary Antoine Russell, who is a guy who comes forward and effectively throws bombs at you. Since he's awkward, since Frank Martin might be hesitant after getting knocked out, and since this is his first fight back in about a year and change, I'm going to say Frank Martin's going to win this by decision. If you are going to pick Frank to win by knockout, I think it's rounds 9 through 12 just to an accumulation of damage. But Bartholomew has only been stopped by Russell. He's gone to decision with everyone else, including Jose Ramirez, who I thought he won that fight, even though Jose, I think, is a little bit of a ghost of himself at that point. Unless you're going to come forward and land damage on this guy, it's not going to work. He's 39 years old. You got to keep him on the outside, Frank. You don't want to get chin checked by this guy because he does have decent power. He doesn't have great power. He has decent power. Give me Frank Martin to win this via decision.
Moving right along to the main card, we have Jesus Ramos going one-on-one with Shane Mosley Jr. Ramos, 23-1 overall. Fighting out of Casa Grande, Arizona, 24 years old. Mosley Jr. is 22-4 overall. Fighting out of Pomona, California, 34 years old.
Yeah, this is Jesus Ramos' fight to lose. I'm not sure about Shane Mosley Jr.'s commitment to boxing. I've never been, completely sure about it, to be frank with you. He beat Daniel Jacobs and Gabe Rosado. Those guys were completely past their primes. He lost to Quigley and Adams, who are not even undefeated fighters. These guys are okay, in my opinion. They're not going to be world-class caliber contestants, like to fight bigger names in the sport of boxing. He's going to be older by about 10 years. He's going to have a 3-inch height advantage and a 5-inch reach advantage. That's the only thing he's got going for him in this fight. I don't necessarily agree with the line entirely, just for the dimensions and because I do think he has been a little more, active amongst bigger names, even though they have been shot. Jesus Ramos is the real deal. I think he does a lot of good things. Yeah, you lose to Erickson Lubin. No shame in that. Erickson Lubin is not a bad boxer, even though, yes, he did get stopped in his last contest because he is a little shot himself. Erickson Lubin 3 years ago relative to now is a different fighter. Wouldn't hate a look at Mosley Jr., depending on how he's talking and everything coming into this week, as well as the size situation. But I think there's a fight that Jesus Ramos should figure out, and he should get it done. I won't say he knocks him out because Mosley Jr. hasn't been stopped before. We'll see how we play it closer to fight time. I think Jesus Ramos gets this done via decision.
Next fight on the card for the WBC World Super Featherweight title, we have O'Shaquie Foster going one-on-one with Stephen Fulton. Ice Water Foster is 23-3 overall. The champion fighting out of Houston, Texas, 32 years old. Cool boy Steph Fulton is 23-1 overall. The challenger is fighting out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 31 years old.
Vegas has this fight lined as the closest fight on the card. I'm going to be honest with you. I think this is a little crazy. I think this is a clear Fulton win. The only thing that O'Shaquie has on Fulton is size. If we're talking skill and technique, it's Fulton. Fulton's probably going to have the better hand speed because he's moving up in weight. He's going to be a year younger. He's fought the better brand of competition. This is a guy who's only lost to Inoue and was on the verge and on some people's respective top 10 pound for pound list before the Inoue fight. I was a little worried about him at this weight class after the Carlos Castro fight because he took damage in that fight, but then rebounded nicely against Brendan Figueroa. This is a guy, O'Shaquie Foster, who can have an issue with volume sometimes, and you've seen that in the Conceição fight, which was a highway robbery. But there were moments where he could have put together his punches a little more cleanly and won it. And then you could argue he lost the second fight, which is hilarious because Conceição actually came back stronger and delivered a much more meaningful performance. The guys who have given Fulton a lot of trouble are guys with legitimate power. This is a guy in O'Shaquie Foster who's barely a 50% finisher. He's got 23 wins and only 12 knockouts. He's got 3 losses via decision, and 2 of them are to guys that don't even have Wikipedia pages. I'm going to lean with the more skilled fighter here who showed up in fucking Timbs and jean shorts in his last boxing contest and outboxed the shit out of Brendan Figueroa in a weight class that benefited Brendan Figueroa. Give me Stephen Fulton to get this done via decision.
Next fight on the card for the IBF World, WBO World, and WBA World middleweight titles, and it's currently constituted the co-main event of the evening. We have Janibek Alimkunali going one-on-one with Arislandi Lara. Janibek, perfect, 17-0, fighting out of Oxnard, California, but repping Kazakhstan, 32 years old. Lara, the American Dream, is 31-3-3 overall, fighting out of Houston, Texas, but repping Cuba, 42 years old.
Yeah, this is a fight where you have Arislandi Lara coming in on a crazy winning streak. Just came off the stoppage win over Danny Garcia, but this is where I say the buck stops. This is a guy in Janibek who I think is one of the most overlooked fighters in the sport. No one at 160 is raising their hand to fight this guy. He is a guy that can fight from the inside and the outside, and I think this is a fight where Lara is giving up height, size. The only thing he has on him is reach and experience, but at the end of the day, he's giving up age as well, and he's at a 10-year disadvantage against this guy as well too. I think they're trying to set up Janibek versus Terrance Crawford because that's what makes sense for the division. It's what makes sense for Terrance's size and not fighting at 68 anymore. I think he rightfully belongs at 54-60. Janibek is probably the most meaningful challenge for Terrance, and Lara has made a living beating up guys that don't belong in there with him, including Danny Garcia, who had the R word floating around and was moving up a weight class. Danny Garcia quit on the stool. Credit to Lara. I've never seen Danny do that, but that's the signs of a guy who no longer wants to fight anymore, which is fine. But this is a different guy in Janibek who is still hungry, has really good power, and has very good boxing acumen to back up that very good power. Lara has never been stopped before, not even against the great Canelo Alvarez 11 years ago. But that was 11 years ago. I expect Janibek, if he's going to get a stoppage, and it's going to be in the second half of this fight. If Janibek wins by decision, I'm not going to be surprised. But I do think Janibek's body work, his power, it's going to catch up to the older Lara, and Lara will eventually fold between round 6 or 7 rather to 12. I think at the second half of the fight, I think Janibek is live to get a stoppage here. Give me Janibek via knockout TKO second half of this fight. If it goes to decision, I would not be surprised. Knockdowns are also something I'm looking at in this fight because both of these boys do crack. I trust Janibek's chin a little better than I trust Lara's at this point in their careers, but Lara is the most seasoned boxer he's fought and the biggest name he's fought. So will the lights be too bright and he gets caught with a good shot before he wins this fight? Possibly. Could Janibek bury him and drop him? Sure. We'll see what happens. Knockdowns are something I'm looking at, but I expect Janibek to get this done the second half of the fight.
Next fight on the card, and it's currently constituted the main event of the evening for the interim WBC World Super Lightweight title. We have Isaac Pitbull Cruz going one-on-one with Lamont Roach Jr. Pitbull, 28-3-1 overall. Fighting out of Mexico, repping Mexico, 28 years old. The Reaper, Lamont Roach, 25-1-2 overall. Fighting out of Upper Marlboro, Maryland, 30 years old.
Yeah, this is a very entertaining fight stylistically because it's going to be the Bull versus the Matador in this fight. Lamont Roach, the only thing that gives me a little bit of concern in this fight is that Lamont Roach is again moving up another 5 pounds since the Tank fight. Fought Tank at 35. He's fighting Cruz at 40. But I'm going to be honest with you, Lamont showed me a lot in that fight against Tank. He showed me that he could stand up inside and fight with a big puncher. He showed me he could fight from the outside and outbox a good technical boxer. Yes, was Tank maybe sleepwalking in that fight? Sure. But he didn't rush to take the rematch either. He didn't rush to get that lick back. I thought Roach won the fight. I think my brother agrees with me. I thought Roach outboxed him. Even without the point deduction with Tank taking the knee, I thought he won the fight. I thought he cleanly won the fight. But this is boxing, and this is how it goes, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen. But this is a fight where even though he's moving up in weight, he's going up against a guy in Pitbull Cruz that he's going to have 3 inches in height on and 5 inches in reach. This is a guy in Roach that knows how to use his jab. I'm surprised he's only sitting at a minus 240. I guess it's because they respect Pitbull's ability to close space, and land damage. I just feel like Roach showed me he can roll with punches. He has good timing. He knows how to work off the jab. He has good feet. He does everything you want in a boxer. It's just that simple. This is a tough fight for Pitbull Cruz, even though Lamont's moving up in weight. That's where I'm at with this. The only reason this fight is interesting is because Lamont's moving up in weight. But he's not even giving up a lot of the dimensions edge by moving up in weight. So I expect him to fill out just fine. Give me Lamont Roach to get to a decision here against the very durable Pitbull Cruz, who also went to a decision with Tank Davis, which should tell you everything you need to know about Pitbull Cruz. Lamont Roach gets this done via decision.
And that does it for our boxing coverage. That does it for our UFC coverage. That does it for episode 125. It's in the books. Once again, I hope you guys had a very happy holiday kickoff with the Thanksgiving, with the Black Friday, with the food, with the shopping. But before we end it, I just want to toss it over to my brother because he knows how to wrap it up better than I do.
Like, comment, subscribe, follow Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Everybody enjoying the visual portion of this podcast. Like always, if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Please like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date.
And for all of our audio listeners, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, you already know. Tune in next weekend to see our coverage of Manel Kape and Brendan Raw Dog Royval. Should be a banger of a fight. Until then, we also wanted to give you guys a shout out for helping us get over our 200 subscriber goal. Big thank you. Keep it coming. We got some big things coming to you next year. Keep tuning in, because we're going to have some episodes even after this last UFC card next weekend where we go about some of the topics you guys may want to discuss. But we also have a lot of big things that we're going to announce probably on those podcasts heading into 2026. We are very excited. Keep tuning in. Keep showing love. Drop, your comments, your likes, all of it. We want all of it. We want to be, all in your ears at all times. Pause,
All in that ass. Ew.
And we want to make sure we keep pushing a quality product out to you guys. Love you guys. Holla at you guys. See you next week for episode 126. Peace.